Good morning, everyone. I'm Phil Belcher, CEO of HCTN.
And I'm Jeff Townsend, Senior Vice President, Project and Analytics.
I want to welcome our HCTN employer members to the 2025 Pulse of the Purchaser Review. Today, we're proud to present results from the survey conducted by the National Alliance. This is fast becoming a major employer survey. This year, 324 employers affiliated with regional coalitions from across the nation participated with respondents from all 50 states. And this survey has become our number one instrument to inform our strategy with employers. We appreciate that 18 HCTN employer members took the time to respond. And because we had 10 or more respondents, we are able to review HCTN specific responses with you today. So Jeff, let's dig into the data.
The threat of rising healthcare costs. Even more pronounced than in last year's survey, our employers agreed 100% this year that rising healthcare costs threaten their organization's competitiveness and would result in continued cost shifting. A vast majority also agreed that it would result in trade-offs, for example, impacting the ability to increase wages. This comes at a time when employers continue to rate recruitment and retention as the most important goal. The biggest threats were drug prices, cell and gene therapies, hospital prices, high-cost claims, PBM conflicts of interest. And it's interesting to note that hospital prices, which ranked 6th last year, rose to 3rd position this year. And employers are a little disoriented as to how to address hospital prices. The attitudes expressed deeper in the survey suggest that employers still believe hospitals are generally efficient and their prices are reasonable and defensible. This considerate perspective conflicts with many years of research that suggests that there is still significant waste, 30 to 50% across the entire industry, including hospitals. Not to mention, most employers remain unclear as to what hospital charges are, how they are charged, and how to consider the charge as a fair price. Local employers strongly support a thriving hospital system. However, they are feeling the pinch of high hospital expenses. High-cost claims continue to be perceived as a significant threat for our members. There are many strategies that apply to managing high-cost claims. According to the survey, it looks like our employers are ramping up some of the low-hanging fruit opportunities that may have the biggest benefit, namely screening and early detection. 83% of our members currently are addressing high-cost claims through screening and early detection. Our employers are also more likely to use second opinion services than they were last year and carve out prior authorizations. There's also more energy around payment integrity, with a higher percentage of our employers auditing large claims. HCTN will continue our high-cost claim work group in 2026. The other 3 top 5 threats are not surprisingly pharmacy-related. Healthcare reform and policy issues emerge with more emphasis this year. Most of our members found reform efforts directed at drug price regulation, PBM reform, protecting ERISA, mental health parity, and HSA reform is helpful. Interestingly, 340B efforts were not found as helpful by a majority of our employers surveyed. Over the last 12 months, interest in how to address 340B has grown among employers and pharmaceutical companies. HCTN is involved with the National Alliance in efforts to address 340B through federal legislation. We will keep our members informed as this initiative develops. PBMs. There still seems to be frustration directed toward PBMs for the typical reasons: transparency, high drug prices, fights over formulary management, all accusations typically leveled at the big 3. Yet, there is a slightly larger percentage of HCTN employers that still contract with the big 3 in this year's survey compared to last year's. This is certainly due to the different mix of employer respondents in 2025. Over half the respondents anticipate going to bid in the next 3 years and cite the following reasons: procurement requirements, transparency, price, and dissatisfaction with their most recent renewal.
Let's talk about priorities for HCTN. When given a menu of options, our HCTN employers ranked the following priority focus areas in this way. Number 1, CAA and fiduciary. Number 2, federal and state policy. Number 3, mental health. Number 4, improving primary care. And number 5, hospital price transparency. This is pretty consistent with what we see happening nationally. And given the growing number of lawsuits targeting employer health plans and the increase in hospital data, employers are responding to the pressure and recognizing the opportunities to act on this data. This is confirmed elsewhere in the survey, as 69% of employers are using data for their fiduciary oversight. HCTN has been a leader in presenting CAA and fiduciary opportunities. So given these survey results, we're going to learn more about what specifically our employers are lacking with regard to their fiduciary strategies and tools, and then act on that accordingly. We also see a greater interest in both state and federal policy. Healthcare TN is committed to developing our strategy and supporting our members to use our influence as appropriate so that legislative stakeholders understand the employer perspective. As a coalition, we are now involved in efforts to address 340B at the federal level. Mental health has been and will remain a HCTN priority, and improving access to effective primary care will be a major initiative for Healthcare TN going forward. Finally, hospital price transparency rounds out the top 5. Employers are feeling fiduciary pressure to, and at the very least, understand their local hospital networks with regard to price and quality. HCTN will feature this topic at our December conference in Knoxville and in our project work for 2026. So just a note on data from the survey, most employers, about 85%, believe they have complete access to data. So they believe they're not getting field suppression, no missing financial fields, etc. Interestingly, only 61% affirm they are allowed a complete audit of their vendors using complete data files. We are seeing regional legislation like that in Indiana that is pushing for unrestricted audit rights for employers, and this is very important. Ironically, and lastly, I want to mention high-cost claims. Our employer members ranked those as a high threat, but lower as a focus area, which is very interesting. We do believe this is because while they've been focusing on managing high-cost claims and preventing high-cost claims, they've struggled to come up with new approaches to combat the issue. However, do not fear. HCTN will still fight to assist the employer in these efforts in 2026.
Phil, I'm going to address, some just closing items and other items that sort of emerged in the survey. One of the things we noticed, and I bring this up because Healthcare TN was sort of a pioneer in this movement nationally, but social determinants of health in this survey presented a mixed bag. A smaller percentage of employers are applying social determinants of health strategies, including data analytics. However, it remains of interest to our membership, who identified SDOH as a top 10 area of interest for the coalition. An exception would be with women's health, which continued in the survey to demand focus without any qualification. Also, pharmacy and high-cost claims, and we are still analyzing this data, but pharmacy and high-cost claims remain significant threats. Yet, as Phil said, employers seem to be less aggressively addressing these areas. We will continue to present strategies and insights. In 2026, we will continue to have our high-cost claims oncology work group, and our National Alliance colleagues in Florida and Chicago have developed a very comprehensive employer oncology guide.
So just to wrap up our time together today, I want to review what you guys value. According to survey results from our HCTN custom questions, our employers continue to value the education and especially around innovation and best practices that we bring, and also education around policy. They also value networking with peers, which is one of the top opportunities afforded to employer members of Healthcare TN. It's very clear that our members want us to continue to advocate on their behalf for market change in the areas we have discussed in this survey. There's always interest to learn what employers are doing in other regions throughout the country and through the National Alliance and our peer coalition relationships. And so we're going to continue to feature innovation that is occurring not only within our own members, but outside of Tennessee.
Finally, the National Alliance is launching the Pulse of the Purchaser Institute to allow employers to share perspectives on research opportunities. If you are interested, please contact us directly, or you can contact the National Alliance directly through the QR code.
Again, I want to thank our employers for filling out the survey, and thanks to you, Jeff, for summarizing these great insights. Have a great day.